10 Typewriter Tales, a collection of stories, written by Thomas Fincham, narrated by John William Cantiz. The Red Sweater. Michael Delaware opened his eyes and stared up at the ceiling. He was lying in a bed and thinking about his life, thinking about how it had turned out. From the next room he could hear his wife taking a shower. She always took a shower in the morning. He looked at the time. It was 6:13 a.m. He got up and sat on the edge of the bed. He was beginning to hate his life, his routine. Every day, same thing. Every day, get up and go to work. "Honey, you're up early today," his wife, Kim, said, coming in. "Couldn't sleep," he answered. "Why don't you lie down? Maybe you could go back to sleep again," she suggested. He shook his head. She opened the closet and began going through it. She always woke up before 6. She would take the kids, get them ready, make breakfast, and then go to work. She was a receptionist for an insurance firm. She left the house at 7:30. Michael, on the other hand, woke when she left. His job didn't start till 9, and it was a 10-minute drive from his house, which meant he could leave at 8:45. "Honey, have you seen my red sweater?" he heard her say. He shook his head. "Found it," she said, looking inside the drawer. While trying to put it on, her hand hit a framed picture. The picture fell and shattered, scattering glass everywhere. "Oh my God," she exclaimed. "Thank God it's not damaged." She stared at their wedding photo. "I'll get a broom," she said, and left. He did not offer to help. He just stared at the broken glass. She came back, holding a broom and a pan. He watched her as she swept the floor. The phone rang. Michael kept staring at Kim sweeping the floor. The phone continued ringing. "Aren't you going to get it?" she said. He looked in the direction of the closet. The ringing was coming from his coat pocket, from his cell phone. He slowly got up and went to answer it. "Michael Delaware," he said. "Hi," a female voice said. His back arched, and his senses became alive. "You don't remember me?" "No, I'm sorry, I don't." He moved away from his wife. "I met you at your friend's retirement party," she said. "Yes, Vanessa," he said as quietly as possible. He had met Vanessa a few nights before at a party. She was a waitress there, and they had a little conversation, but he did not remember giving her his number. "I thought I should call you now," she said. "I had a great time at the party." He said nothing. He just listened. "I was wondering," her voice seemed hesitant, "if I could see you." She waited for his response. He wanted to say no, but without realizing it, he blurted yes. "Great," she said. Before he could say where, she hung up. It doesn't matter, he thought. She'll call back later. "Who was it this early in the morning?" his wife asked. He could see she was done cleaning. "Someone from work." Before she could ask more, he went into the bathroom and closed the door. He relaxed. He couldn't believe what he was thinking of doing. He looked in the mirror and saw a different man. The thinning hair and slight wrinkles were clearly visible, but his eyes no longer looked dull. In fact, they looked like he was young, vibrant, and full of hope. Maybe this step could bring back his youth. But he shook his head. He had 2 kids and a wife who loved him. He shouldn't be thinking like this. When he saw himself in the mirror again, he had to take a chance. He got dressed and went downstairs. His wife was packing lunch. "I put in tuna sandwiches with salad for you," she said. He didn't answer. "Daddy," his oldest daughter, Sandy, said. He hugged her. "I made this for you," she said. It was a picture of a man in a suit and tie going to work. "Thank you," he replied, kissing her. His youngest daughter, Mandy, was busy making a mess at the table. "Mandy, stop playing with your food," his wife said. Michael began eating his cereal, which was oatmeal with honey. His kids loved cereal, so he ended up liking it too. Once everyone had left, the house was empty and quiet. Michael leaned forward on the kitchen table and placed his face in his outstretched palms. He shut his eyes. He loved his family. He loved them more than anything. It was they who made him continue to live this mundane life. It was they who made him shut out his pain, his loss. They brought solace to his world. Now he was thinking of destroying those that brought peace to him. He decided to forget about it and go to work. Michael sat behind his desk and turned on his office computer. While the computer purred to life, he checked his voicemail. The usual. He opened his email account and began going through his inbox. Announcements, updates, raffle tickets for dinner and theater, the usual. He opened one with the name Septron. Septron was an IT firm with almost 55 employees. Michael was their payroll administrator. There was an electronic file attached to the email. Michael's company did payroll for almost 85 firms, ranging from 12 employees to over 600. The electronic file from Septron arrived every 2 weeks, as their pay was bi-weekly. The file consisted of changes to pay due to raises, promotion, overtime, and so forth. Michael's job was to input those changes into the system and have a printing department print the checks. If there were no changes, the system would automatically generate the pay for each pay cycle. This was Michael's morning for the last 6 years. He leaned back on his chair and looked around his small work area. He stared at the screen. The background wallpaper. It was of a man building a small boat on an isolated beach. The brown sand, the blue ocean, the man, the boat. Somehow it all made sense. His eyes moved to a framed picture beside the monitor. 3 people smiled back at him. His wife and kids. He had closed his eyes to stop thoughts from entering his mind when the phone rang. He picked it up. "Good morning. Personnel Corp, Michael Delaware speaking," he said. "Hi," a woman's voice said. Michael's back tensed. He looked at the clock on the computer screen's bottom right-hand corner. 11:08 a.m. "Vanessa," he said in a hushed voice. "Would you like to meet, maybe for lunch?" she said. "At 12, he blurted immediately. "Okay. Where?" She gave him the address. The next hour, he could not work. He was torn between guilt and excitement. At 5 to 12, he locked his workstation and ran down the stairs, avoiding the elevator because he could not wait. Inside one of the largest financial buildings downtown, he scoured the food court. It was lunchtime, and the place was packed, but somehow he spotted her sitting at one of the middle tables. He recognized her immediately. He took a deep breath and walked to her. She sat with her arms folded, as if bored. She was wearing a black leather coat and black pants. She smiled when she saw him, revealing perfect teeth. He shook her soft hand and sat. Michael quickly scanned her. It was one of his abilities. Whenever he met someone new, he would start with their feet and work up. The person's hands, hair, clothes told him much. Her nails were painted black. Even her lipstick was black. She was a goth, he concluded. Her eyes were fiercely green, wild even. But what he remembered most from their first meeting was a large ring that circled one of her nostrils. "You were able to find the place easy?" she asked. "Yeah," he said, suddenly feeling uncomfortable. Perhaps it was the whole meeting. He was in his early 40s, while she was in her early 20s. He was wearing a white shirt and tie, while she was wearing something different. He sensed they stuck out from the crowd of business professionals. "Do you want to go somewhere else?" she asked. No, I'm okay." He twisted his tie. "I ordered something for the both of us, if that's okay," she said, pushing a tray of fries and chicken nuggets in front of him. "At least it looks like we're having lunch," he thought. "I couldn't stop thinking about you," she said. Michael blushed. He couldn't imagine anyone thinking about him except his wife. He also felt guilty because he hadn't thought about her. "I feel that we have so much in common," Vanessa said. "We do?" Michael said, confused. "I mean, yeah, you lost someone you love, and I also lost someone I love." "Yeah," he said. "We both feel like our lives are not going anywhere, as if they're stuck in one place. I've been a waitress since I was 17, and sometimes I feel I might end up being a waitress for the rest of my life. It was fun in the beginning, the money especially. The tips were great. Now it's just a job. It's difficult to serve people who are far better off than you are." Michael understood. Vanessa continued, "You sometimes think, how can these people afford these lunches that cost more than what I make in a day? And some people come each and every day. Every day, I wish I was in their place, and someone was smiling at me and taking my orders." But I guess that's just a dream. Don't say that, Michael said. Why don't you go back to school? You said you wanted to become a graphic designer. I don't have the kind of money to go to school. I'll help you out, Michael blurted. You? No, you've got a family. I don't want to be a burden. No, I can arrange for you to get a loan or something. She thought about it. It would be nice to be a designer. Someone's cell phone rang. Immediately, Vanessa pulled hers out. She looked distressed to answer it. Yes? No, she exclaimed. You can't do that. Rolf, please. Once I get a place, I'll move it. It's all I've got. It seemed as if she was angry and pleading at the same time. She cursed and then shoved the phone in her pocket. She got up, shaking her head. What's wrong? He asked. Nothing, she said. He could see she was on the brink of crying. He grabbed her hand to stop her from walking away. She didn't resist. Tell me what's wrong, he asked. It's my ex-boyfriend. We broke up and he... Sit down, please. She looked into his eyes. Please, he said. She sat down and covered her face. I don't know what to do. Tell me everything. When we broke up, I moved in with a girlfriend of mine. I told Rolf, my ex-boyfriend, I'd love some of my stuff later, but he just called, and he's pissed, and he's gonna throw all my stuff outside. Why now? I don't know. He must have been drinking or something. She shook her head. I have to go now and move my stuff. How will you do that? I don't know. I'll help you. The words came out without even him realizing it. No, I can't let you do that. It's no trouble. This might not be a good time. He might be drunk or irate. Later, I'll go with you. I'll help you move your stuff. She paused for a moment. Do you have a car? He said. She didn't respond. I have a car, and I can help you move it. Okay, she finally said. Back at the office, Michael went about his usual day. He didn't want anyone to notice a change in his work habits. He sat behind the computer and worked, but through it all, the thought of being with another woman lingered in the back of his mind. He watched the clock tick to 5 and then raced down the stairs to his car. It was now raining. The dark clouds had taken shape. He spotted Vanessa standing at the corner of a street a few blocks from where he worked. She got in. Her hair was soaked, and it was hung limply in her face. She had her coat wrapped around her tightly, and she was shivering. They said nothing the entire ride. Go to the back, she said. He turned the wheel and went inside a small alley. He parked the car beside a large garbage can. Vanessa pulled out her key and got out. He followed. Michael could tell her boyfriend didn't make a lot of money. The place was a dump. He lived on top of a pub, with the entrance being from the back. Her shoes clanged and vibrated on the metal steps as they made their way up. She tapped on the door and then looked at him, shaking her head. He wasn't at home. She opened the door and they made their way in. It was dark, and the place felt empty, vacant. She stopped and looked in his direction, but she wasn't looking at him. She was looking at something behind him. He turned. Something hard hit him across the face. Losing his balance, he fell to the floor. A large figure was on top of him. The blurred figure yelled something which he did not understand. Vanessa, he thought. I must get up and help Vanessa. But before he could recover, the figure hit him again and again until he blacked out. It was sunny but cool. The breeze hit him across the face as he sat on the sand. He looked at the picturesque sky above him. It was quiet and peaceful. He was holding a hammer. The boat beside him was almost complete. A few more hours, and he could leave, sail through the ocean, not knowing or caring where he was going. In the distance, he saw someone walk in his direction. It was a woman. A smile crossed his face. It was Vanessa. The smile faded. Vanessa had transformed into a dark figure. The dark figure was holding an object and was ready to use it. Michael opened his eyes. Everything around him was dark. He tried focusing, but he fell unconscious again. A few hours later, he woke because of a noise. It was coming from the walls. He tried shifting, but his face hurt. His jaw was swollen. He focused. He was in a room, most probably the basement. The noise was coming from upstairs. He listened. 2 people were fighting, a man and a woman. He couldn't make out what they were saying, but he was sure it was something serious. He heard the noise shift further away. A moment later, the door burst open, and a bright white light hit his eyes. 2 black figures entered the room. One turned on a yellow light bulb. Michael could now see the figures take shape. A man with a long ponytail and hard eyes stood beside the light switch. Behind him was a woman. "Vanessa," Michael muttered. She looked away. "Listen, buddy," the man hissed. "You do everything we tell you, and no one will get hurt. Got it?" Michael was hurt. Not his jaw, but his heart. "Got it?" the man asked again, raising his voice. Michael nodded. He didn't want any trouble. He just wanted to get out alive. The man got closer and threw a piece of paper in front of him. "Read this." Michael picked it up. The man turned on a cassette recorder and placed it beside Michael. Michael began reading. "My name is Michael Delaware. I'm safe, and I'm not hurt, but I won't be for long. Bring 50,000. Michael stopped. 50,000? He said in disbelief. The man paused the recorder and said with a smile, "That's right, buddy boy. Your wife better pay up, or else I'm going to have to get nasty with you." "But we don't have that kind of money," Michael said. They only had around 18,000 saved up. The man looked annoyed. "Your wife better find a way to bring the money, or your kids will grow up without a father." Michael looked in Vanessa's direction. She refused to make eye contact. "Vanessa," he said. The man kicked Michael in the ribs. "You're not listening." Michael coughed. "Do as you're told and you won't get hurt. Now read." Michael reluctantly read. "Good." The man smiled at the recorded message. He turned to leave. Michael leaped up and grabbed the man's hair from behind. He pushed the man into a wall. The man recovered, twisted, and swung his elbow across Michael's face. Michael, unbalanced, fell backward. The man jumped onto his chest and swung his right fist. He hit Michael once, twice, thrice. He only stopped when Vanessa screamed. "We want him alive," she said. The man got up, but he kicked Michael. Michael spat blood and fell back into the darkness. Michael woke up to see a dark figure hovering over him. He focused. "What are you doing here?" he said. "I'm here to help you." But I thought I was dead?" Michael nodded. "Yes, son. I am dead." "Dad, am I dreaming?" "Yes, son. You are." Michael looked into his father's eyes. His father smiled at him. "I really screwed up, Dad," Michael said. Tears filled his eyes. "Yes, you have, son. I don't know what I was thinking. I shouldn't have done that to Kim and the kids. It's natural to have those kinds of feelings, but it takes courage to not act upon them." "I'm weak," Michael said, facing away. "No, you're not," his father said. "When I was injured at work, you were the one who took care of the house. You worked full-time and went to school." Michael didn't answer. "You've always been responsible, even when you were a kid." Michael hung his head. "But I wasn't responsible now." They fell silent. "After you died," Michael said, "it was difficult. I didn't know what to do." "I know you were devastated," his father said. "Dad, how did you and Mom stay together for that long?" "Only one word. Simple." "Simple?" "Keep life simple, and everything else will work itself out." "I don't understand." "You see, whenever we got into a difficult situation, we knew that if we kept it simple, if we didn't overcomplicate it, then we would be able to get over it. You remember I was offered a job up north, and it was high-paying, but I didn't take it?" "Yes, but why didn't you?" "Your mother. She didn't want to leave. We were always living paycheck to paycheck, but we were happy. So we kept our life the same. We kept it simple. We never allowed external elements to affect our personal lives." Michael thought a moment, and then carefully spoke. "Dad, can I ask you something private?" "Anything, son." "Did you ever think about other women?" "Never." "Never?" "Yes, never. You see, son, I lived my life with one belief. Love wife, love life. This keeps life simple. Yes. Know and understand your priorities, and your life will be simple. Dad, I wish I could be like you. Your calmness, your wisdom, your understanding. You're not me, son. You could never be me, but you could be you. Suddenly a bright flash pierced his eyes. Michael opened his eyes to see two figures emerge from the light. He immediately recognized them. "You're a lucky man, buddy," the man said with a laugh. "Your wife came through." Michael couldn't think how she had done it. He was certain they didn't have that kind of money. Maybe she put another mortgage on the house. Maybe she asked her parents. Maybe there were so many maybes. He felt miserable for betraying her. "Now, I guess I have to let you go," the man said, as if he was enjoying himself. "But you have seen my face." He let those words hang in the air. "But she paid you," Michael said, not knowing what else to say. The man's lips curled into a smile as he pointed a shotgun at Michael's face. "She paid you!" Michael yelled. Bam. Michael Delaware opened his eyes and stared at the ceiling. He looked around. It was his bedroom. He got up. He was alive. Oh God, it was a dream, he thought. A nightmare. He looked at the alarm clock, and it read 6:13 a.m. 6:13. That time. "Honey, you're up early today," his wife, Kim, said, coming from the shower. He said nothing. He was speechless. "Why don't you lie down? Maybe you could get some sleep." He shook his head. Am I dreaming? He was certain he had heard her say that before. She opened the closet and began going through it. "Honey, have you seen my red sweater?" she asked. Red sweater. "Found it," she said, looking inside the drawer. His eyes went to the framed picture. Before he could say something, her hand hit the picture, and it fell and shattered. "Oh my God," she exclaimed. "Thank God it's not damaged," she said, picking up the wedding photo. She left, and he knew she was going for a broom. Am I dreaming again? Not possible. She came back and began sweeping up the glass. He just stared at her. The phone rang. A chill went up Michael's back. He looked in the direction of the closet. "Aren't you going to get it?" Kim said. He looked at the closet and then at her. Thank you, God. He slowly knelt down beside her and began picking up the glass. "Honey," she said, "aren't you going to answer it?" "No, it's not important." This has been 10 Typewriter Tales, a collection of stories, written by Thomas Fincham, narrated by John William Cantees. Copyright 2021 by Thomas Fincham. Production copyright by Thomas Fincham.